You were able to speak to Brian Patrick Higgins.
Brian Higgins?
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And what was his drink order?
Usually what I drink all the time, Jameson and ginger.
Kevin, where did Brian Higgins park his Jeep?
You know, that's a great question, too.
How do you view the fact that they didn't see any taillight at the scene that morning?
She was asleep in the back. She didn't testify to seeing anything at the parked car. She only saw at the intersection.
As far as the male passenger that you saw as you were pulling onto the street, could you see him at that point?
I did not see any other person, just the female in the driver's seat.
She was asleep in the back. She didn't testify to seeing anything at the parked car.
Kevin's got me so nervous here today. I don't know why. You look good. You're so photogenic. When you did that video in front of the courthouse, I'm so jealous of how great you look on camera.
What's wrong with you? About getting justice for John O'Keefe. You're nuts. But thank you. I guess I should just take the compliment. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a big day. Apparently, there's a lot of controversy with our second guest. Our first guest, obviously, was your dad who bailed on us. And I have to say that the following day, I saw your dad, Joe Beningo, on a show. He was pitching Manscaping.
Joe Beningo back with you again, the Oda Pain podcast. It's Tuesday, the 3rd of February. Brought to you by Manscaped. I know Harper uses it all the time.
Talking about shaving his balls again.
Was he?
Manscaped 5.0 Ultra, the ultimate upgrade. Nothing says anything like a perfectly groomed package. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I say this all the time, John. Even though it really isn't real, it gives you the illusion of extra inches. There's not one guy I know that doesn't want extra inches. I mean, let's be real about it.
They're not getting a better advertisement than this for anybody else, Joe.
I've said this for years. I should be a national spokesman for Manscaped.
Yes, he was. And did you
so
see
funny.
the advertisement last night about manscaping? And I thought maybe they
Stop. Oh, my God.
No, there was
No.
on the Super Bowl.
I know.
Let's
No,
bring
I
in
know
our
there
guest.
was.
I don't want to chat here because our guest was speaking backstage.
Our guest, maybe a little controversial figure for us because we are, of course, members of the Free Karen Reed movement, as they say.
We are?
We are bringing in somebody who I think has been well described as on the other team. And so
Ooh.
we have elected, and I know lots of people might be angry about it, but we have elected to bring in Mr. Kevin Lennahan because for us, it is about hearing all sides. We are very curious, and it's been very difficult to find someone who we could have a rational conversation with without name calling and mudslinging and all this nonsense. So we welcome Kevin to the stage, and we're glad that you were willing to come on with us today.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. And I wanted to, just watching that opening segment there, Vincent says something I actually really agree with. He says, you know, there are no geniuses. And in my book, this just became one of my golden rules that I apply to like every case. There are geniuses in the world and they work for NASA. But if your crime theory requires a genius in the criminals or a genius on the police investigation side, you probably have to rethink that theory. It's pretty unlikely that there are any geniuses out there.
I did read your book. I thought there was a lot of interesting information, and we can talk about it as we go along.
Kevin, I'm jealous. You were able to speak to Brian Patrick Higgins.
Brian Higgins?
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
How did it come about where you actually got to interview him?
He got in touch with me. Brian contacted me. I think he was frustrated, as all the witnesses were. The conversation was dominated by one side.
Did he email or call you?
He called me. I don't remember. I don't remember. He might have emailed me initially, and then I gave him my number.
You agreed to go to lunch. Where'd you go?
We went to lunch to an Italian restaurant not far from where I live. And interestingly, Brian Higgins does mostly undercover work in his job, and he had witnessed from that restaurant gun sales in that parking lot because it's a restaurant it's a big chain restaurant that it was right off the highway, and it's also not far from the New Hampshire Massachusetts border, and there's a hotel there too, so I guess it's kind of a convenient stopping place for traffic.
Two classic Italian guys like you and Brian Patrick would go to Italian restaurant, obviously.
Yeah. And he did have a drink.
He did have a drink.
We don't even have to ask.
Usually what I drink all the time, Jameson and ginger.
He was a gentleman, and we met for like 3 hours, and about a month afterwards, he called many times on the phone. It was always a number that I couldn't trace back. That's what he does for a living. He's a very emotional guy.
The same thing everybody wants, a real relationship.
A romantic relationship, Mr. Higgins?
It's possible.
Right.
He's a very emotional guy.
Yeah.
He tried not to speak very much about stuff he was going to testify about and things like that, but he was emotional just talking about John, the fact that he might have driven by John, and he mentioned how he was a first responder, served in Iraq and on the fire department, comes from a family of firefighters, and he had his first aid kit in the Jeep with him, and he's like, maybe I seem to feel genuinely emotional about the idea that he had driven past John and didn't see him.
when you initially heard about this case, Karen Reed wasn't fully disclosing the fact that there was a huge emotional affair going on between those two. It was short-lived, but that creates a motive, and Brian Patrick Higgins knows that that is a huge issue.
I agree. There's a lot of times people on the anti-Karen side disagree with me because, for instance, I don't think there's any evidence that Karen knew that she struck John at the time that she struck him. And I also don't believe in the voicemails that there's any evidence that she knew that she had been in an accident or that that John was wounded.
Do you believe that she had any intent to hit John O'Keefe?
There's no proof of that. There's no evidence.
Right. And when she left 34 Fairview that morning, did she know she hit him, according to you?
There's no evidence of it. Going by the evidence, I'll say no.
But that is the claim that the O'Keefe family is making, right, in their lawsuit, that when she woke up, at least, at that point she knew, is what you're saying. Okay.
Yes, which is actually slightly interestingly, that's a little different than what the prosecution said. The prosecution in both trials seemed to imply that she knew right away. In the voicemails, not only does she not indicate in any way that she's been in a collision or John is hurt, but if she was trying to leave a false trail of breadcrumbs, she didn't do that either. So, for instance, she didn't go, okay, John, I'll see you when you get home. There's some leftover spaghetti in the fridge. She didn't do anything like that. There's just no evidence that she's just, at that point, she's angry and she thinks John's cheating on her.
In any 48 hours show where you hear the fake phone call that the husband usually makes, hi honey, I love you, because married people never say I love you after like a few years. So it's like, I love you, and you know it's so fake. And Karen's emails are so raw and so real. I've dated girls like that. And
Messages,
when you get
voice messages.
Yeah,
voice
sorry.
They're not emails, right? Those
Kevin's
are
got me so nervous here today. I don't know why.
Well, that's important because she's actually calling, right? I fucking hate you. Like, she's pissed. How do you view the fact that they didn't see any taillight at the scene that morning?
Oh, that's an easy one. And one time I had talked to Turtle Boy on the phone. That was his main piece of evidence. And I said, why do you think the Canton police would ever find taillight pieces with the leaf blower? They only searched with that leaf blower the area where John was found, which was on the lawn. They never searched anywhere else. Most of the taillight pieces were found in the gutter at street level, under 2 or 3 feet of snow.
Are we certain on the amount of snow at that point, Kevin, when they're actually searching in the morning there? You said 2 to 3 feet.
I think there was maybe 23 inches of snow that fell that day.
Probability and statistics. How many times has anyone heard of a case where 11 people don't notice a dead body on a lawn? Please explain. And 0 bones broken.
That's a hard one, Kevin, for your side, is the fact that a body laying on the lawn from 12:32 forward would most likely have been seen by a lot of people, not just people walking by it. So how do you counter that argument?
So in this case, there are legitimate questions that come up and don't have exact answers, but then you look at the other side and which is the stronger argument, and there's incredibly strong evidence that shows that Karen did this and it was the only thing that could have explained what happened there. But as far as not seeing people on the lawn, I think you're cold, you get in your car, it's at night, and any dark object that's unmoving is not really going to get picked up by your conscious mind.
From a logical standpoint, at 12:32, according to your theory, John is lying on that front lawn. There's not much snow at that point, and we have the snow data, and we could see that picture at the Canton Library. So to me, if you're trying this case and you want to prove that John's body was not there, you have to have that visual of literally a body laying right where John was found, and then show me how someone could not possibly have seen it. It's more likely that the people that were moving in and out of that house would see John compared to Lucky because of the timing, and Lucky's doing another job. These people are walking right by it with little amount of snow.
They never walked by the body. They just drove by it.
No, they walk outside the house. So if you're telling me this front
but
yard,
at that
Sam,
point,
is not that big.
I mean, it's not like they walked by the street where the body was, so the body's down on the lawn on the right, and they're going they're leaving the house and going in the left direction towards their vehicles. So I don't think they would have seen it then. If there's any chance they would have seen it, it would have been when they were driving by it. But they didn't see it, and Lucky didn't see it at 5:45 when he went by. So it's obviously hard to see something that's dark and in the lawn and unmoving.
Kevin, where did Brian Higgins park his Jeep?
That's a great question, too. Does it fully match up with the testimony of Ryan Nagel, who didn't seem to remember seeing the Jeep? And the Jeep seems to have been parked by the mailbox.
Exactly where was your Jeep in front of that house?
By the mailbox.
Where was your Jeep in relation to that mailbox?
The back end of the Jeep, the rear, would have been around equal with the mailbox, and I was not blocking the driveway.
I'm not sure. I thought it was out on the curb, facing up Fairview, maybe by our mailbox, but it could have been in the driveway. I'm not 100% sure.
So no, I don't remember where Brian Higgins parked. I remember him pulling out so I could pull in, and then I didn't really see where he parked.
You did not see a Jeep with a snowplow on the front parked in between you.
I did not.
And in fact, you didn't see a Jeep with a snowplow parked anywhere on the property that you recall, correct?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
And then after the end of the driveway, there was a Jeep, and after the Jeep was the SUV, the dark SUV.
You certainly did not see a full-sized Jeep Wrangler outfitted with a snowplow between the SUV and Ricky's truck.
I did not.
No, because I drove down the street and I took a left into the driveway and there was a Jeep there.
Okay. You didn't see a Jeep?
No, sir.
With a big old snowplow on the front of it?
No, sir, I did not.
That car was never between your car and the SUV, was it?
I never saw any other vehicle in between us.
Right next to the driveway. You know, the Jeep Wrangler is a pretty small vehicle. Did he park partially on the lawn? You know, I don't know. But again, we're trying to explain why someone didn't see something at night. And you really can never explain things like that.
My question was simply, where did he park it? Where?
Well, we don't know exactly, but he said near the mailbox.
Where do you believe he parked his Jeep?
I have no reason to disagree with that or doubt that.
He's very clear where he did. He parked it right by the mailbox, not blocking the driveway. You believe that's where it was parked?
Going up the street. What about the 0 bones broken?
Oh, okay, sure. You know, it's definitely a challenge for the state, for the prosecution, to overcome John's injuries. It's pretty unusual to have a hit and run where the only injuries on the body are a slight contusion on the knee, surface abrasions on one arm, and then an injury on the back of the head, which the prosecution said was not even caused by the vehicle anyways.
Remember, too, is Dr. Welcher did the height test. The height of the boiler on the back of the SUV was right where that wound was, too.
And then an injury on the back of the head, which the prosecution said was not even caused by the vehicle anyways.
Which is something a lot of people on Twitter, including myself, mocked up of his height versus the height of that. All that information was readily available online. And a lot of people pointed out that's exactly where it would have been.
Back of the head, which the prosecution said was not even caused by the vehicle anyways. A couple of scratches on the face. So he had really not a lot of injuries to demonstrate that. And so in this case here, you really do have to go to the other evidence, which is what makes this case bulletproof.
So you're saying that the injuries in this case may not align with the being hit by a car, but as a result of the rest of the evidence, it happened some way, somehow.
I mean, they don't misalign because it's a side swipe. A side swipe is going to leave limited injuries. And it'll be hard to tell from a side swipe later on. I would have liked to have had a better explanation from the state's expert. Yes, I agree. I was very disappointed that Dr. Welcher couldn't offer a better one.
It's possible it could have shot off into space.
You know, he was honest, like we can never tell for sure exactly what position John was in. So there was enough force that I would think as a non-medical expert that would have broken a bone. Maybe it did break a bone. Maybe you had microfractures because you didn't have an MRI or anything like that. We learned.
Well, let's be clear. There were no bones broken below the neck. So it's not like maybe. We know that for certain. There are no broken bones on John.
Unless they were microfissures, like, you know. That
you're saying that, but it has to be significant. You can't just say that it's micro. It would be something that you could detect, right? A fracture of a bone is something either it happened or it didn't. We know that it didn't. If you're claiming that it's a side swipe, Kevin, where did he bang the back of his head?
Just to answer, my mom recently had a fall, and the X-rays showed no.
I asked where John did.
No, but let me just finish though, because you said it's an either or, and it's not. But later the MRI showed microfractures, and she did have that. But anyways, as far as John died, the state's theory is that he hit his head on the frozen ground. Top-notch neurobiologist Dr. Wolf.
Where did John's back of his head come into contact with at 34 Fairview?
Frozen ground.
Where?
On the lawn.
On the lawn.
Where he was found?
He may have rolled some distance. I don't know.
Yeah. So do you see the problem with that speculation, though? Because once he hits the back of his head, he's obviously no longer able to function. And you have to come up with a theory where he's sideswiped by a vehicle, and then there's enough force that he hits the back of his head straight back somehow. Mm-hmm. And then you have to tell me somewhere. And the only thing I'm hearing is, well, maybe it was somewhere in the front lawn and maybe he rolled.
We can't get there's no video of what happened, and although we would like to have an exact explanation from an accident reconstructionist exactly how it happened, we're never going to get it. Do you have enough evidence that shows that John O'Keefe was struck by a vehicle at that time, or that Karen was going in reverse at 23 miles an hour seconds before John's phone stopped moving for the very last time? It puts her vehicle moving in reverse just seconds before his phone moves for the very last time at 12:32 and 16 seconds.
Yeah, we'll get to that point, I promise you. But right now I'm just speaking about the logistics of your argument with regard to how he actually hit the back of his head. So you're claiming that he was sideswiped somehow, didn't sustain any broken bones, we know that for sure, and then hits the back of his head, causing the injury, and you're claiming that it's on the front lawn, and then he rolls eventually to the final resting
Oh,
point.
I don't know that he's rolling. I'm saying I don't know.
Well, it's either he rolled or he was hit and he fell right there. It's one or the other.
Well, I'm saying I don't know.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I've all along asked questions. How do you look at this evidence and come away saying, oh, Karen Reed did this? But what I discovered was a lot of the time the answer is like, he kind of said, I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting, but it's a fluke. Yeah. Like he kind of just threw up his hands and said, yeah, there are things that we can't explain. And I thought, whoa, that's so interesting. I wish I could do that. I wish if I had like a huge outstanding question when it came to this case, I wish I could be like, well, yeah, it's okay. So what? But I can't do that. I can't do that. I freak out if there's a question, right? Like,
Well, I'm saying I don't know.
Did Berkowitz get too greedy throughout the next week with regard to all that extra planting of taillight? The answer is yes, he did, but I believe they were operating in this small pond type situation. What's your opinion on Chief Berkowitz and his eagle-eyed examination of the crime scene and seeing that piece of taillight February 4th?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little troubling to think that the chief of police he's out on sick leave, but he's driving down there and getting involved. There was at one point he had messaged a reporter who was the first one to report that this was the home of Brian Albert.
Yes.
And he messaged him saying, this is a pillar of the community, please don't mention his name, or something like that. There were some things like that look a little odd.
When did Higgins reach out to you exactly?
I'm going to say about a year ago.
Before or after the trial one started?
After the first trial, before the second trial.
What did he order, Kevin?
What did he?
I don't remember.
How do you not remember?
I know what I got. I got ravioli.
Did he lose weight at that point?
He looked the same.
And what was his drink order?
Usually what I drink all the time, Jameson and ginger.
Hot toddy.
Oh,
What is that?
I do remember that.
What?
It's like
Are you sure you met with Brian Patrick Higgins? What is that? I don't even know what that is.
Honey,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah.
Whiskey and honey.
I have no Irish in me, Kevin, at all, so I don't know what the drink is at all. I know you own a bar too.
And I don't think I ever served one of those.
Yeah, it's odd. So it was a lunch and he ordered that drink?
At the end of it, we were all done right before we left.
Okay.
Yeah, they're actually
It's just the
delicious.
one.
And I'm not a whiskey drinker, but they are, when you're sick, it's like an old wives' tale in the Irish. You drink it when you have like a cold or when you're stuffed up. It's true.
You would shatter an arm if you actually cracked a taillight on an SUV going 23 miles an hour, any part of your body. In order for that crack to happen, there's going to be substantial bruising and definitely fractures at the point of impact.
Well, none of us has any medical expertise, and I don't know that if you're standing, for instance, like this, and it hits the elbow. So if he turned like this and it cracked the elbow, would that cause breaks in the arm? I don't know.
The answer is yes.
What?
Here's Buddy's arm. He's got a cracked, broken elbow. His elbow is broken. Those two bones in the forearm are completely in two. His wrist is broken. See the bone dislodged right there?
But what do you base?
I've never seen a case where you get hit by a car and it breaks something on the car and you have no fractures on your body and no contusions and no bruising at all.
But most hit and runs are from the front. It's very rare to have one in reverse.
It's your burden to prove this. You have to show where on John's body that taillight came into contact with.
Well, I think the state has to provide as reasonable as an explanation as possible, but then you have to go to the other evidence.
Like he kind of said, I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. it's a fluke, and said, yeah, there are things that we can't explain. And
Agreed.
The indisputable
But frame
evidence.
our conversation,
And you
though.
have to look at the totality of the evidence. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Agreed. But we're just micro-analyzing where John's body came into contact with that taillight. What is your opinion?
In the elbow. So it seems that it hit the elbow, and then the arm snapped as the car's coming through like this, and the hand made a dent in the panel, and the cocktail glass was in that hand. It shattered, and a few of the pieces maybe fell on the bumper, and the rest went with John because it was still.
Brian Patrick Higgins, if you're watching, I know you didn't anticipate on having this alibi of Karen's car when you placed that body out there, but had you actually broken John's arm, broken any part of his body, you may have gotten away with this, because the one thing I'm hearing Kevin struggling with is that all these scenarios have to include a 23-mile-an-hour hit on a human bone, which will fracture easily at that level. You should have broke one of his bones if you really wanted to get away with it. Thanks.
that Adam Lally wound up getting much closer in the end than Hank Brennan. I mean, I guess we can never know how many people went into the jury room, like actually, with a different mindset than they ultimately voted. But it is interesting that Lally had in the end, had a hung jury.
Yeah, he had 9 guilty votes. And it was big.
I love Adam Lally, Kevin. I don't know if you know this, but I love him. I think that everyone took the wrong attitude towards Adam. I think he should have been cheered as he walked in every single day. Can you imagine? He was like, Lally, because
he was. I was there at court once and they did that.
Oh my God, he's so amazing, Lally. And I'm being facetious, obviously. Like the fact that you couldn't have beat Lally in this case with a Trooper Paul as your expert, but you want a Lally if you're the defense. And I love him. I just love everything about Lally. I really do love him. Have you ever heard the song F You Hank? It's Lally's revenge song. Oh, you gotta hear it.
You'll appreciate it.
Maybe we'll play it for our halftime. Actually, we know for certain that's not true because the kids passed by the SUV and they all testified, well, 2 of them did, that John wasn't in the SUV anymore.
First of all, it's not the kids. It's only one person looked at that. It was Ryan Nagel. The other 2 weren't paying attention.
No, the female testified too.
She was asleep in the back. She didn't testify to seeing anything at the parked car. She only saw at the intersection.
From this other vehicle, as far as the interior of the vehicle, as you're yielding to this vehicle taking a right, what, if any, observations did you make of people inside that other vehicle?
I've noticed a male and a female in the car.
Where within the vehicle was the male and female that you observed situated or seated in the car?
The female was driving and the male was in the passenger seat.
And you could clearly see inside the passenger compartment there was a female driving, is that right?
Correct.
And there was a male sitting next to her.
Yes.
You indicated that by the time you guys negotiated your turn, sped up, made the turn, headed up Fairview, that SUV had already come to a stop.
Correct.
All right. Now, as Ricky is driving down the street to wherever this friend's house is, where does that SUV that you observed making the turn, where does that go?
It was parked on the street outside a house.
You never observed anybody exit the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And as he's going by the dark SUV, what, if anything, did you observe with reference to that?
I observed that there was a person inside the car with the interior light on. They're in the driver's seat.
And can you describe what the person looked like?
It was a woman, had long hair. It seemed like she was looking straight ahead with her hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel.
Who, if anyone else, did you see within the interior of the vehicle at that time?
I only saw one person at the time.
Right, but you did look inside that SUV.
As I passed by, yes.
And you saw one person.
That's all I saw at the time, yes.
Female with long hair, is that
Correct.
right? And you did not see anybody else inside that SUV?
No, not to my acknowledgement.
As a matter of fact, you were asked that in prior testimony, and you indicated in response to that basic question, no, she was alone, correct?
Correct, sir.
And so when the truck is pulling away, where are you facing and sort of what are you looking at as you are passing by the house and passing by the SUV?
I was looking out the passenger side window, so facing the house.
And as you go past the SUV, what, if anything, did you observe within the SUV?
I observed the female in the driver's seat. Yes, the interior lighting was on, so that's why I had noticed as we were pulling away the female in the driver's seat.
She was asleep in the back. She didn't testify to seeing anything at the parked car. She only saw at the intersection.
As far as the male passenger that you saw as you were pulling onto the street, could you see him at that point?
I did not see any other person, just the female in the driver's seat.
She was asleep in the back. She didn't testify to seeing anything at the parked car.
I've been biting my tongue for so long. Fuck you, Hank. Think you're better than me? Fuck you. you are not lolly. Fuck you, Hank. Think you're better than me. Fuck you, Hank. But why don't we see? I'm a basic kind of guy, I really don't need a flaunt. Smoking 6 packs a day and I'm happy as a hog. All I do is mumble, do I really need any lungs? The trial one jury was just like me, they were hung. Trial 2 came around and you wanna bench me? Not one guilty vote, was embarrassing to see. Need to remind you that my jury was 9-3. Take your little OUI and get about the scene. Fuck you, hey, hey. Think you're better than me? Fuck you, hey. You are not lolly. Fuck you, hey. Think you're better than me? Fuck you, hey. Well, why don't we see? Oh, I know what will get us the win. Ask Rachel about his fucking ham sandwich again. That'll prove this beyond all reasonable doubt. Oh, who am I kidding? This shit is a rout.
It appears that I made a mistake.
You took this case so damn personally, and I hold that opinion to a scientific certainty. You weasel face, fuck, bet, Arkham, Major P. Even with all the help you got from Beverly, standing ovation. What a robust cross. Psych. Your nerdy ass looks so fucking lost. Just think, $500,000 was all it cost to get our asses kicked in the fucking law. Fuck you, hey, hey. Think you're better than me? Fuck you, hey. You are not lolly. Fuck you, Hank. Think you're better than me? Fuck you, hey. Well, why don't we see? Why don't we see? Hey. Waiting for your response, Becky. Yeah, yeah.
Did I mention my jury was also hung?